Are you an introvert like I am? And because we are introverts, the world seems to think we have weaknesses. Well, I am here today to give you the weaknesses that society says we have and some ways to combat them and make them your strengths, not your weaknesses. Welcome to Pinebrook Homestead. My name is Marie. If you are new here, if you are returning, welcome back. I am recording at a different time of day, pre-recording some videos because I have some special things coming for you next week. And this is going to be airing on Monday for Monday Motivation. And I really wanted to dive into this a little bit and give you all the information that I could. So, the world society doesn't like introverts. And it's funny because in my high school years, I was a cheerleader that hung by myself. I loved the performance. I loved cheering. I loved dancing, but I was not in the popular group. Fast forward, and I have to take jobs to support my family. I had no child support, and so I felt like I got shoved into that extroverted world. And there's nothing wrong with being an extrovert. There's qualities of them I absolutely admire, but it's not me, and it might not be you either. So here are some of the weaknesses, and I've done my research, I have my notes. Here are some of the weaknesses that society deems we have as introverts, and let's combat them so we can make them our strengths and not a weakness. We are not weak. We just prefer to do things by ourselves, or we prefer to be by ourselves, or we just like solitude, peace and quiet, rather than explosive parties where you have to make small talk. Okay, so number one weakness is the desire for approval. So I can see some of this, and I will link the article that I found all of this on in the description below. I can see part of myself in the desire for approval. Was I always seeking for approval from my boss? Yes. My husband? Yes. My children? Yes. Outside world? No. I could care less what they thought of me. But it was very important that when I put my all into a job, that I had the approval of my boss or of my husband or my children. Here's the one thing though. Always seeking approval puts us in that category of people pleasing. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to please people because ultimately then we are not taking care of ourselves. So when you are looking to seek for approval from the people that you love, make sure the tasks that you're doing are tasks that you love. I know I love to cook. No surprise here if you're any part of my channel. I love to cook. I'll taste it. I will know it's good, but I don't need the family to give me applause or tell me how great it is or anything like that because I've tasted it and I know how good it is. And the act of actually cooking that food brings me joy. When it comes to a work environment, that one's tougher, because you are meshed with extroverts and you are meshed with introverts and you're all to mesh together. And unfortunately, this world just wants to put us in a big, great melting pot. And each one of us is different. Each one of us has areas where we will excel and we will not, whether you're an extrovert or you're an introvert. Just make sure whatever you are doing is lining up with your values. That's my biggest advice on this. Don't go down the road of people pleasing. Please and hone in on your needs as well. When you are doing the things you love, then you will have that peace and you will not need validation from others, because introverts, we can do a lot on our own, a lot. So weakness number 2, we are highly sensitive. So you go into your boss's office and they're giving you constructive criticism. I don't know about you, but whenever that happened to me, my mind stopped at the sentence of whatever the criticism was. It just stopped. They continued to talk, my mind stopped. I honed in and felt somewhat attacked on one thing. I could not get off that criticism. And so because I had the desire for approval, I would think, well, I've got to fix this. I have to be better at this. This is my job. And I don't believe that's necessarily the case. Hear me out. When you hear something, hear it fully and take a time out. Before speaking and everything else, say thank you. I'm good with this. I will get back to you. Take your time to leave the meeting or the room and focus on everything that you heard and tear it down into bite-sized pieces, and then look at it from a fact or fiction. Is what they're saying fact? Or is what they're saying an opinion? And opinions can always be fictional. An opinion is their perception. Again, staying true to yourself, but take that time. And I know sometimes in order for me to digest everything they said, I had to write it down in a notebook. Did you know that introverts are phenomenal writers? Just like I wrote pages upon pages of notes here, and I wrote them and I'm kind of going off the cuff from them because I know what I wrote and I know what's in my heart. Introverts are phenomenal writers. Journal. Get those thoughts out on paper, because typically we don't want to talk to anybody about them. We're either embarrassed or we feel our desire for approval, we're not approved. Just write them all out. Write those feelings out. And then take them in bite-sized pieces and digest them. If it is something that you can change, that falls in line with your values, because I am not asking you at all to change who you are or what you value. But let's say you're too slow to speak, too fast to speak, you're not assertive enough, whatever it is. If it falls in line with your values, look at how to better yourself. If it does not, because people have a lot of opinions these days, if it does not fall in line with your values, take it for face worth and move on. Okay? At the end of the day, and my end of my speech, we will do the best thing for us. But that was number 2. All right, so number 3, anxiety and worry. Introverts tend to have more anxiety and worry about things. Now, do I think it is a bad thing? No, we are looking into the future, which is what anxiety and worry is. We're looking into the future to try to prevent being uncomfortable or prevent a bad situation? Well, first thing is we cannot control what happens in this world. So the quicker that we look at that and realize that, the quicker we can wash our hands from control. The next thing for anxiety and worry, stop your thoughts and come back to the present. Don't continue the snowball that we do in our minds. We do it all the time. And you just have to stop it, and you have to come back to the present, and you have to focus on scripture and God's promises that he has for you today. Maybe do affirmations for yourself. So stop that negative thoughts that take you down the road of worry and anxiety, and go back into your affirmations, your I am affirmations. It really does help. It is something I have truly been working on with my anxiety. And I completely understand that anxiety can come on for no apparent reason. But 9 times out of 10, it's a thought that comes into our mind that snowballs and keeps going in our mind that creates the anxiety and worry. So let's turn that around and let's focus on staying in the present, so that anxiety and worry are not a weakness and our presence is our strength. All right. Weakness number 4, we do not like interruptions. Oh, this one hits near and dear to my heart. So when at my old employer, I was working on numerous different projects and customer service at the same time. It didn't matter how important my project was, and I was fully focused on it. I couldn't tell you what was going on around me because I was fully engaged and fully focused. That's what they asked me to do. I was very task-oriented, very independent worker, could get it done. But then you had other coworkers and you had other employees that would stop you, halt you. They needed you right now. It was never super important, and the customer could never bear to wait 3 seconds, a couple minutes for me to complete anything. Nope, they needed it right now. That was frustrating. Even today, since I have exited that world, I find when my husband and my children need me, I will be working on something and they will be coming at me to do this or that or this or that. And I find myself stopping what I'm doing and listening and getting frustrated because I was in the middle of this. Does nobody see that when you're working on something and you're truly working, whether you can be typing on the computer or whatever, there's no respect for anybody's time anymore. So this is one that I'm going to ask you for advice on. If you have nailed or have worked on not getting so frustrated with the interruptions, because we as introverts, we want to do the best. There's that approval. We want to do the best, but we get super hyper focused on the job at hand. And when we're interrupted and we're pulled away, it takes us off track, and it's frustrating. But what do you do? Because this is one weakness that I would like to make a strength. And honestly, I don't know how. I really don't know how, other than to politely ask, give me a few minutes, let me finish this, and then you have my full attention. That is the only thing that I can think of. So if you've mastered this with interruptions, leave it in the comments below and let me know, let all the other introverts know what you're doing so you can help us as well. Okay, number 5 weakness. We can be quiet and unassertive. Yes. Oh, I remember the numerous meetings. It was me and 7, 8 guys. A lot of those guys were super loud. Some of those guys were not. Some of those guys waited their turns and others could not stop talking. And I always sat quietly, nodded my head, gave a little laugh, but I never interjected what I had to say. I wasn't going to compete with the loudest guy. But I will tell you what I would do afterwards. So after the meeting, I'm done. I'm not competing with this. It makes me anxious, and all of a sudden I'm questioning all the thoughts that I have. So I will retreat from the meeting. Yes, great meeting. I will retreat from the meeting, go back to my workstation and start working on where I can actually think and comprehend versus always being thrown at and combated in a meeting. I can think and comprehend and take an idea back to my boss and let them know. Yes, we tend to be quiet. We over-process things sometimes. And frankly, being assertive, it's not us. And it's not comfortable. And then you have your extroverts that will never shut up. So that's another one that I'm a work in progress on that one. But I will tell you, since coming home, starting my channel, I don't have too many issues with this other than when I'm recording and the family does not respect that. So, just saying. All right, let's go on to number 6. We hate being put on the spot. Oh, did I hate this? I hated this in meetings and with customers. So it's like a firing squad, and they're firing so fast and they're putting you on the spot that your mind just goes to like white noise because it's too much to comprehend at one time. We're thinkers and we think deeply. So there are times where, my boss would call on me, and I gotta tell you, my palms are sweaty, my heart's racing, I don't wanna speak, and I have no clue what's gonna come out of my mouth. Why? Because I didn't have time to think about this. Now, is that good or is that bad? It depends on your profession or depends on your world, actually. A lot of people, they can fire back, and I respect that. Their minds think so fast, they know everything that's going on. That's my husband. It's not me. Not me at all. But, encourage your introverts. If you are a manager or a boss and you have somebody who is introverted, encourage your introverts to have ample time to prepare for the situation. And I guarantee you, they will come up with the best idea in the room. I guarantee you. They are amazing. Introverts are amazing. All right, weakness number 7, we can seem aloof. Introverts tend to be harder to get to know, especially in big crowds or work situations, and we despise small talk. Oh, I hate small talk. I would just rather not talk at all. I would rather in a group of people sit there quietly by myself and listen than talk. The whole small talk stuff is awful, but there are times where we have to take baby steps. And I will tell you, one of the first things that you can do when you walk into the room to seem not so aloof or not so standoffish is just put a little smile on. Just smile. It doesn't matter if you have the right conversation. It doesn't matter if you're listening, but if you're smiling versus frowning, then people don't think you are so standoffish. And here's the other thing. Ask a friend who's going to be at this party that, is like me or has common interests. Could you introduce us? Because here's the thing. When you find somebody that thinks as deeply as you do, you can have some great conversations. And those conversations, they're not small talk. How was your day? Great. How many kids do you have? 3. It's never small talk. You dive deeper and you get very invested in that conversation when it's something you're interested in. So take that tip. Ask who's going to be there that I can meet, and who knows, that might be one great new friend. All right, here's the last one. Weakness number 8 that society looks at us. That we need to recharge. Oh, yes, I do. If ever I am out in public spaces, and I have to be, so a concert for my son, and I'm around all these people, I literally have to come home and decompress from it. I really do. I used to, when I was at work, have to come home and decompress. Like, it would not be uncommon for me on the weekend to pull my car in the garage on Friday and literally stay in the house Saturday, Sunday, and never leave until Monday morning. That was so not uncommon for me. I had to recharge because the outside world was so depleting to who I was and who I was expected to be that I needed to shut them out as quickly as possible. I used to listen to soft music on the way home, or I would put a podcast on the way home on something I was interested in, but I had to leave that brain. I had to leave that work brain. I had to leave everything behind because I needed to recharge. Here's the thing. Extroverts, they thrive on social gatherings. The more social they are, the more they're on stage, the better it is. We need our time. We need our alone time, and we need time to relax, and we need time to think, and it needs to be quiet normally. Now, I can watch a movie, but then I'm done. And I really, really, really lately despise all the gunshot movie. Like, that is, my husband and teenage boys, they like, Gladiator 2 was in on this house a couple days ago. And I gotta tell you, it just stressed me out. That noise was too much. But it's what my husband wanted to do, so I had to deal with it. And then I begged him to turn off the TV when that movie was over. It was a long movie. And just from that, I had to recharge because it was too much. And I really don't think needing to recharge is a weakness. It gives us time to heal. It gives us time to rest. It gives us time to think. It gives us time to learn. Maybe some extroverts should look at a recharge. And maybe it would help them as well. Maybe they wouldn't be so stressed out with competing with everybody else. I don't compete with anybody else. I don't care. I care more about taking care of the ones I love, their approval, and getting that recharge. So I hope today's message was helpful. Society says we have a lot of weaknesses, but we have a lot of strengths too. We tend to be empathetic. We tend to be learning, and we do a lot for ourselves. We do a lot of DIY, and there's as many great attributes to being an introvert as there are weaknesses. I just would like to take a couple of these weaknesses and chalk them up for my strengths. And I hope you would too. Know that there is no judgment. I'm in your same boat. I am working through things as well as you are. I'm enjoying things as well as you are. And I just really hope this was motivation for all my introverts out there. And I hope you have a wonderful Monday. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.